What if your next vehicle could drive on the road and then lift straight into the sky? For decades, flying cars were only science fiction, but in 2026, that dream is starting to look real. Across the world, engineers are building two-seater flying machines that can drive, fly, hover, or take off vertically. Some still need runways, some rise straight up like drones, some are fully electric, and some are already taking orders from real customers. But these are not toys. Many still require pilot training, aviation approval, and strict operating rules. Today on Unbox the World, we are counting down 10 of the most exciting two-seater flying cars and personal flying vehicles of 2026. From roadable aircraft with folding wings to futuristic eVTOL machines, these are the vehicles trying to turn the flying car dream into reality. Let's begin. Number 10. Terrafugia Transition, the early roadable aircraft that helped start the modern flying car race. At number 10, we begin with one of the most important early names in the modern flying car movement, the Terrafugia Transition. This vehicle may not look as futuristic as the newest electric VTOL designs, but it deserves a place on this list because it helped make the flying car dream feel more serious. The Transition is a two-seat roadable aircraft. That means it is designed to operate both as a small airplane and as a vehicle that can drive on roads. In road mode, the wings fold, the aircraft becomes narrow enough to fit into a garage-like space, and the driver can take it along normal roads. In flight mode, the wings unfold, the aircraft uses a pusher propeller, and it flies like a light sport airplane. This is not a vertical takeoff vehicle. It cannot rise from a driveway like a drone. It needs a runway, pilot training, and proper aviation operation. But that is also what makes it realistic. Instead of trying to solve every problem at once, the Terrafugia Transition followed a more practical path. Drive to an airport, unfold the wings, take off from a runway, fly to another airport, fold the wings, drive to your final destination. That may not sound as magical as lifting straight out of traffic, but for many real-world flying car concepts, this is the more achievable first step. The transition is important because it showed that a vehicle could be designed around both road and air requirements. That is extremely difficult. A car must survive road conditions, traffic rules, bumps, braking, lighting requirements, and crash expectations. An aircraft must be light, aerodynamic, stable, and safe in flight. Trying to combine those two worlds into one machine creates enormous design compromises. And that is why roadable aircraft are so rare. The Terrafugia Transition may not be the newest flying car in the world, but it belongs here because it represents the foundation of the category. It helped prove that the phrase flying car did not have to stay in science fiction forever. And from this early roadable aircraft, the industry began moving toward more aggressive, more futuristic, and more ambitious designs. Number 9. AeroMobil 4.0, the Slovak flying car with supercar energy. At number 9, we move to a machine that looks far more dramatic, the AeroMobil 4.0. This vehicle comes from Slovakia, and visually it is one of the most elegant flying car designs ever shown to the public. In car mode, it looks low, long, and futuristic, almost like a concept supercar designed for a luxury technology show. But the real magic happens when the aircraft prepares for flight. The wings unfold, the tail structure becomes part of the flight configuration, and the vehicle transforms from a road machine into a fixed-wing aircraft. Like the Terrafugia Transition, the AeroMobil 4.0 is not a VTOL aircraft. It needs a runway, but it is much more emotionally powerful in its design. It feels like the kind of flying car people imagine when they dreamed about the future. A vehicle that can drive on roads, then become an airplane when the driver reaches a suitable airfield. The aircraft uses an aerodynamic body, composite structure, folding wings, and a layout designed to combine road performance with flight capability. AeroMobil has described the aircraft with a flight cruise speed around 260 kilometers per hour, or about 160 miles per hour, and a flying range around 740 kilometers, or about 460 miles. That makes it much more than a short hop novelty. In theory, this is a machine that could drive to a runway, fly between cities, then continue on the road after landing. This is where the AeroMobil 4.0 becomes fascinating. It is not trying to replace a helicopter. It is not trying to become an autonomous air taxi. It is trying to become a personal road and air vehicle for people who want freedom across both worlds. But like every flying car, it faces real challenges. The driver must also be a pilot. The vehicle must meet road and aviation requirements. The owner needs access to runways, and the entire aircraft must balance weight, safety, aerodynamics, and road practicality. That is why AeroMobil is not number one. It is beautiful and ambitious, but still limited by the reality of needing runway infrastructure. Still, as a two-seat flying car with some of the most striking visuals in the category, the AeroMobil 4.0 is one of the most unforgettable machines on this list. It shows that the flying car does not have to look like a strange engineering experiment. It can look like something desirable, something premium, something people would actually want to own. Numero 8. Samson Sky Switchblade. The flying sports car built for drivers who want to become pilots. At number 8, we have the Samson Sky Switchblade. And this one brings a very different personality. If the AeroMobil feels like a futuristic luxury concept, the Switchblade feels like a flying sports car. It is compact, it is aggressive, it has a three-wheel layout, and it is designed around the idea that the owner can drive from home to a local airport, transform the vehicle into flight mode, and then fly to another destination. Samson Sky describes the Switchblade as a two-seat vehicle with side-by-side seating. In ground mode, it is a street-legal three-wheeled vehicle. In flight mode, the wings swing out and the tail extends. The transformation is designed to happen quickly, giving the vehicle the feeling of a real-life machine from a spy movie. The Switchblade is not VTOL. It needs a runway, but that does not make it less interesting. In some ways, it makes it more realistic. Because the Switchblade does not depend on giant batteries or vertical lift rotors. It follows a more traditional aircraft logic once airborne. Wings provide lift, a propeller provides thrust, and the vehicle behaves more like a compact airplane than a passenger drone. The company has described the Switchblade with flight speeds up to around 200 miles per hour and an operating altitude up to 13,000 feet. Those numbers give it a completely different feel from many short-range eVTOL concepts. This is not just a vehicle meant to hop over traffic. It is meant to cover real distance. The emotional appeal is strong. Imagine driving a sleek, three-wheeled machine from your garage to an airfield. You arrive, extend the wings, run through your pre-flight checks, and take off. After landing, you fold everything back and continue driving on the road. That is the classic flying car dream in a very direct form. But there are still compromises. The Switchblade cannot fly from your driveway. It still requires a runway. It still requires training. And as with any roadable aircraft, the combination of road vehicle and airplane creates complex engineering trade-offs. But among two-seat flying cars with actual public testing and strong brand recognition, the Samson Sky Switchblade is one of the most exciting. It may not be the most futuristic vehicle on this list, but it might be one of the most fun. Numero 7. PAL-V Liberty, the gyroplane car that chose practicality over science fiction. At number 7, we come to the PAL-V Liberty. This is one of the most serious and practical flying car designs in the world. Unlike many concepts that try to look like spacecraft, the PAL-V Liberty takes a different approach. It is a roadable gyroplane. On the road, it drives as a three-wheeled vehicle. In the air, it flies using gyroplane technology. That means the large rotor above the aircraft is not powered like a helicopter rotor. Instead, it spins freely in the airflow, while a rear propeller pushes the aircraft forward. This approach gives the Liberty a different kind of safety and simplicity. Gyroplanes are known for stable flight behavior and auto-rotation characteristics. And that is part of why PAL-V chose this direction. The company is not trying to create the most futuristic-looking machine. It is trying to create something that can work within existing road and aviation logic. The PAL-V Liberty seats 2 people side by side. It can drive on roads. It can fly after the rotor and propeller systems are prepared. And it has been promoted with flight range figures around 400 to 500 kilometers, depending on configuration and conditions. On the road, PAL-V lists a driving range of around 1,300 kilometers and a maximum ground speed of 170 kilometers per hour. These numbers show that the Liberty is not only a flying novelty, it is designed to be usable as both a car and an aircraft. But the important truth is this: you cannot simply treat it like a normal car. To fly the Liberty, you need the right pilot training and aviation permissions. It is not license-free. It needs proper flight operation. And it does not take off vertically. But that is also why the Liberty feels believable. It does not pretend the flying car revolution will happen overnight. It offers a pathway that uses proven ideas: road driving, gyroplane flight, compact transformation, 2-seat personal mobility. The PAL-V Liberty may not be the wildest design on this list, but it may be one of the most mature. And in aviation, maturity matters, because a flying car is only useful if it can be trusted. Number 6. Klein Vision AirCar, the Transformer-style flying car that actually flew between cities. At number 6, we arrive at one of the most famous flying cars ever filmed, the Klein Vision AirCar. This machine became known worldwide because it did something that many flying car concepts never do. It flew in the real world. And even more importantly, it completed a public intercity flight in Slovakia. The AirCar is a 2-seat flying car designed by Stefan Klein. In road mode, it looks like a long, futuristic sports coupe. In flight mode, the wings unfold, the tail extends, and the vehicle becomes a fixed-wing aircraft. The transformation is the part that makes it unforgettable. It does not simply attach wings like an awkward conversion. It changes shape in a way that feels cinematic. The body stays sleek, the tail moves into position, the wings deploy, and suddenly the car becomes an aircraft. The AirCar is not VTOL. It requires a runway. But as a roadable aircraft, it may be one of the clearest visual examples of what people imagined when they heard the phrase flying car. Klein Vision has described the AirCar with a transformation time of only a few minutes. The prototype used a BMW engine and demonstrated real flight capability. The aircraft has been reported with cruise speeds around 170 kilometers per hour and a range near 1,000 kilometers, depending on the version and source. But the most important fact is not the number. It is the demonstration. The AirCar has flown. It has transformed. It has shown the world that a 2-seat roadable flying car can move beyond artwork and into physical reality. That is why it earns a place above several other aircraft on this list. It has the footage. It has the story. It has the transformation moment. And for YouTube, that matters. Because people do not just want to hear that flying cars are possible. They want to see the wings come out. They want to see the car take off. They want to see the impossible become real. Of course, the AirCar still faces the same major challenges as other roadable aircraft. It needs a runway. It needs pilot training. It needs road approval in the countries where it would operate. And it is not a casual consumer vehicle. But as a 2-seat flying car that actually made the world stop and watch, the Klein Vision AirCar is one of the strongest entries in the countdown. Number 5. XPeng X2, the 2-seat electric flying pod from China. At number 5, the countdown shifts from runway-based flying cars into true vertical flight, the XPeng X2. This aircraft is a 2-seat electric eVTOL developed by XPeng AeroHT, the aviation division connected to Chinese electric vehicle company XPeng. And it looks completely different from the roadable aircraft we have already seen. The X2 does not unfold wings. It does not need a runway. It does not transform from sports car to airplane. Instead, it looks like a futuristic flying pod. A compact carbon fiber body, a glass canopy, 2 seats, 8 electric propellers, and a shape that feels designed for low-altitude urban flight. The X2 is important because it takes the flying car dream in a new direction. Not road first, not runway first, but vertical takeoff first. The aircraft can rise straight up, fly through the air, and land vertically. That gives it the kind of visual that most people associate with future mobility. The XPeng X2 has been publicly demonstrated, including flights outside China. That matters because many futuristic aircraft remain only in renderings. The X2 has real footage. It has been shown flying, and it gives viewers a clear look at what a 2-seat electric air vehicle can actually look like. The aircraft has been described with autonomous and manual flight modes. Public aircraft databases list the X2 with a maximum speed around 130 kilometers per hour and a flight time around 35 minutes. That places it in the short-range personal mobility category rather than long-distance transport, and that is the limitation. The X2 is not built to cross countries. It is not a highway replacement. It is not a full family vehicle. It is a compact electric aircraft designed for short, controlled, low-altitude missions. But visually and technologically, it is one of the most convincing 2-seat eVTOLs in the world. It shows where the flying car category may be going. Less like a car with wings, more like a small aircraft built around electric vertical lift. And in that future, the XPeng X2 is one of the names that deserves attention. Number 4, EHang EH216-S, the autonomous 2-seat air taxi that is already closer to commercial use. At number 4, we have the EHang EH216-S. This aircraft is different from everything before it, because unlike many personal flying cars that are designed around owner pilots, the EH216-S is built around autonomous passenger flight. In simple terms, it is a 2-seat electric air taxi. There is no traditional cockpit in the way most aircraft have one. There is no pilot sitting beside the passenger. Instead, the aircraft is designed to fly autonomously through command and control systems. That makes it one of the most important aircraft in the entire advanced air mobility industry. The EH216-S uses a multi-copter layout with multiple electric propellers arranged around the cabin. It takes off vertically, it lands vertically, and it is designed for short, urban, and low-altitude routes. EHang lists the EH216-S with a range around 30 kilometers and a maximum design speed around 130 kilometers per hour. Aircraft databases also describe it as a 2-passenger production eVTOL model with flight time around 21 minutes. These are not huge numbers, but the EH216-S is not trying to be a long-range airplane. It is trying to be a practical, low-altitude mobility vehicle for short trips. Airport connections, tourism routes, island hops, city demonstrations, controlled passenger transport, and future air taxi networks. What makes EHang stand out is not just the design, it is the operational direction. EHang has been one of the most visible companies pushing autonomous passenger eVTOL operations, particularly in China. That gives the EH216-S a more serious commercial identity than many concept vehicles. The design also removes one of the biggest problems in personal aviation: pilot skill. If a flying car requires every owner to become a trained pilot, the market is limited. But if the aircraft is autonomous, the passenger experience becomes much closer to taking a ride. That is a very different future. Of course, autonomous passenger flight raises enormous questions: safety, trust, air traffic control, regulation, emergency procedures, cybersecurity, public acceptance. But if those problems can be solved, vehicles like the EH216-S may become some of the first flying cars ordinary people experience as passengers. Not by owning one, but by riding in one. And that makes it one of the most important two-seat eVTOL vehicles in the world. Number 3, Air One, the personal eVTOL, built for private owners. At number 3, we move to one of the most exciting private owner eVTOL designs in the category, the Air One. This aircraft is designed around a very different dream from the EHang EH216-S. EHang imagines autonomous passenger mobility. Air One imagines personal flight, a two-seat electric aircraft, a private owner, a passenger, vertical takeoff, wing-supported cruise, and the feeling of controlling your own future flying machine. The Air One is a two-seat eVTOL with a fixed wing and multiple electric propellers. That matters because it is not just a multicopter. A pure multicopter uses rotor thrust to stay airborne the entire time. That can consume a lot of energy. But a winged eVTOL can take off vertically, then use its wing for more efficient forward flight. This makes Air One feel more like a true aircraft than a simple flying pod. The aircraft has been described with estimated cruise speeds around 155 miles per hour and estimated range around 110 miles. It also has a maximum payload around 550 pounds. Those numbers give it real appeal for short regional trips, recreation, and private aviation enthusiasts. Visually, the aircraft looks premium. A compact body, a wide canopy, 2 seats, a main wing, electric propulsion. It feels like a flying sports machine rather than a commercial shuttle. This is why Air One ranks so high. It understands that personal aviation is not only about avoiding traffic, it is about emotion. The feeling of taking off from a small landing area. The feeling of flying your own electric aircraft. The feeling of sharing that experience with one passenger. It brings back the romance of personal flight, but with a futuristic electric design. Of course, Air One still faces real-world challenges: certification, training, battery life, noise, charging infrastructure, weather limitations, landing area approval, and the question of how many private owners will be able to safely operate eVTOL aircraft. But as a two-seat personal flying machine, Air One is one of the most compelling designs of 2026. It is not trying to carry a crowd. It is not trying to be a bus in the sky. It is a personal aircraft, and that clarity makes it powerful. Number 2, Doroni H1-X, the garage-sized American eVTOL. At number 2, we have one of the strongest American personal flying car concepts, the Doroni H1-X. This aircraft feels like it was built to answer one question: what would a two-seat flying car look like if it were designed for real personal ownership? The H1-X is a two-seat eVTOL. It has a carbon fiber airframe, panoramic visibility, ducted propulsion, wings, landing gear, a redundant battery system, and a ballistic parachute. Doroni describes the aircraft with a range of around 100 miles, a cruise speed of 95 miles per hour, a top speed of 120 miles per hour, vertical takeoff and landing, and a charge time of around 25 minutes. Those numbers are ambitious, but they are also exactly the kind of numbers people want from a personal flying vehicle. Not just 5 minutes in the air, not just a demonstration hover, a real short-distance electric aircraft that could, in theory, move 2 people between meaningful locations. The H1-X is also designed to feel more protective than open-frame personal aircraft. Many small eVTOL machines look thrilling, but also exposed. The Doroni design feels more like a compact flying cabin. That matters for mainstream appeal. Most people do not want to feel like they are strapped to a giant drone. They want a vehicle, a seat, a cockpit, a structure around them, a feeling of protection. That is what gives the H1-X a strong emotional advantage. It feels closer to what ordinary people imagine when they hear flying car. Not a motorcycle in the sky, not a jetpack, not an air taxi bus, a small, personal electric aircraft that could one day fit into a private lifestyle. Doroni has also promoted AI-assisted systems and simplified operation concepts. That is important because for personal eVTOLs to become practical, the aircraft cannot demand helicopter-level skill from every owner. The machine needs to help the pilot. It needs redundancy. It needs automation. It needs emergency systems. And it needs a design that inspires confidence. The H1-X is still not an everyday consumer product. Certification, testing, regulation, infrastructure, and safety must all be proven. But as a two-seat American eVTOL concept, it feels like one of the most promising personal air vehicles in development. That is why it earns the #2 position. It is not just futuristic, it feels personal. And that may be the key to the entire flying car market. Number 1, XPeng AeroHT Modular Flying Car. The flying car system that feels closest to the future. At number 1, we arrive at one of the most unusual and exciting flying car concepts in the world. The XPeng AeroHT Modular Flying Car, also known as the Land Aircraft Carrier. And this vehicle earns the top spot because it does not try to solve the flying car problem in the same way as everyone else. Most flying cars attempt to become one machine that does everything. They try to drive like a car, fly like an aircraft, take off vertically, fit into normal life, carry passengers, stay light enough to be safe, and remain practical enough for real owners. That is an incredibly difficult challenge. But XPeng AeroHT takes a different approach. Instead of making one vehicle do everything, it separates the system into 2 parts: a large 6-wheeled ground vehicle and a compact 2-seat electric aircraft stored inside it. That one idea changes the entire concept. The ground vehicle is sometimes described as the mothership. It is built like a futuristic off-road SUV designed to carry the flying module, support ground travel, and act as the storage and launch platform for the aircraft. Then, when the driver reaches a suitable open area, the rear section opens, the aircraft module deploys, and the 2-seat eVTOL can prepare for vertical takeoff. That means this is not just a flying car, it is a modular flying car system, a road vehicle and an aircraft working together. And visually, it is one of the most impressive ideas in the entire industry. The air module is designed as a 2-person electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. It can lift straight into the air without needing a runway. It supports manual and autonomous flight modes. And because it folds into the back of the ground vehicle, the whole system feels much more practical than a standalone aircraft that needs a traditional hangar. This is one of the biggest reasons the XPeng AeroHT concept stands out. Storage has always been a major problem for personal aircraft. Where do you keep it? How do you transport it? How do you get it from your home to a safe flying location? How do you charge it? How do you protect it? XPeng's answer is simple and clever. The vehicle carries the aircraft with it. You drive to the launch area, the aircraft deploys, you fly. Then you return, fold it back, and continue moving on the ground. That makes the land aircraft carrier feel less like a fantasy and more like a possible first step toward private flying mobility. It is not designed for every street corner. It is not meant to lift from a crowded downtown road. And it is not something ordinary drivers can simply use anywhere without rules. But for controlled locations, rural areas, adventure travel, emergency support, tourism, parks, remote sites, and future low-altitude flight zones, the concept makes a lot of sense. It gives people ground mobility and air mobility in one package. The XPeng AeroHT system is also important because it has moved beyond being just a digital rendering. The company has shown the vehicle publicly, demonstrated the air module, and discussed production plans for 2026. Reports have also described strong interest in thousands of intent orders, showing that this is not only a wild technology showcase, there is real attention around it. And that matters because the flying car industry is filled with beautiful ideas that never leave the screen. XPeng AeroHT is trying to turn the idea into a product category. A six-wheeled electric vehicle that carries a flying machine. A two-seat aircraft that can launch from remote locations. A system designed not only to look futuristic, but to fit into a specific way of using the sky. Of course, major questions remain. Certification will matter. Airspace rules will matter. Pilot training will matter. Weather will matter. Safety will matter. And different countries will have different regulations for both the ground vehicle and the aircraft module. So this should not be treated like a normal car you can buy and fly anywhere. It is still a serious aviation system. But as a vision of what flying cars could become, the XPeng AeroHT modular flying car is one of the strongest examples in the world. Because maybe the first successful flying cars will not be small sedans that magically lift from traffic. Maybe they will be modular machines, a vehicle for the road, an aircraft for the sky, a system that lets people drive to the right place, then fly from there. That is what makes this design so powerful. It does not just ask, what if a car could fly? It asks a smarter question. What if your car could carry an aircraft? And in 2026, that question feels more realistic than ever. That is why the XPeng AeroHT modular flying car takes the #1 position. It is bold, it is strange, it is practical in a completely new way, and it may be one of the clearest signs that the future of personal flight is no longer just science fiction. It is becoming something you can see, touch, drive, and one day, maybe even fly. So, those are 10 of the most exciting two-seater flying cars and personal flying vehicles shaping the future of transportation. Some of them need runways. Some can take off vertically. Some drive on roads. Some fly like small airplanes. And some are built around electric propulsion, autonomous systems, and modular designs that would have sounded impossible just a few years ago. The Terrafugia transition helped prove that roadable aircraft could become more than a dream. The AeroMobil 4.0 and Klein Vision AirCar showed how a vehicle can transform from road machine to aircraft. The Samson Sky Switchblade turned the idea into something that feels like a flying sports car. The PAL V Liberty took a more practical gyroplane approach. The XPeng X2 and EHang EH216-S showed what two-seat electric vertical flight can look like. The Air 1 and Doroni H1-X brought personal eVTOL ownership closer to reality. And the XPeng AeroHT modular flying car may point toward one of the smartest ideas yet. Not just a car that flies, but a vehicle that carries an aircraft with it. That may be the real future of personal flight. A road machine for the ground, a compact aircraft for the sky, and a new kind of freedom between both worlds. But the biggest question is no longer whether flying cars can exist. They already do. The real question is, where will they be allowed to fly? Who will be allowed to operate them? How safe can they become? And how soon will ordinary people be able to experience them? Now I want to hear from you. Which one would you choose? The Doroni H1-X, the Air 1, the XPeng X2, the EHang EH216-S, or the incredible XPeng AeroHT modular flying car? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look into the future of personal aviation, make sure to subscribe to Unbox the World. Because here, we do not just show you machines. We unbox the stories, technology, and hidden worlds behind them. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep exploring, keep dreaming, And remember, the road may end, but the sky is just beginning.